Okay, man, it's already Tuesday. How is your guys' weeks going so far? Good.
Very good.
Good, okay. So now that we have now transitioned to our social studies moment for the day, we're gonna think back to yesterday about all these 3 learning targets we did. And I think we can go through them pretty fast because we have already touched base on them. Let's have maybe Amber read all 3. Is that okay with you, Amber?
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay, number 1, I can describe what landmark the Dunn family reached today. Number 2, I can describe what the landmark looks like by identifying 2 defining physical features. And number 3, I can describe 2 ways the landmark helped the Dunn family.
Very nice. Okay, so then yesterday we did this as a group, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we got our little journal out that Beverly wrote for us to make sure we made it over those mountains and through the plains just nice and great. And we didn't get lost because that would be a big problem. But in our journals, we wrote some notes. Can anybody tell me one of the things that they wrote to make sure they met one of these learning targets? Amber.
I wrote about the Great Plains.
The Great Plain, and what learning target does that kind of go with?
A landmark.
A landmark and describing it, right?
Yeah.
Now, what else could we do? I know you on this, I see that you're making a list. That's a very good job. What's some other ways that maybe we can try out today to make this so that we're getting all of this information incorporated?
Did you make a web? You made a web.
What did
I
you
made
do?
a web talking about the springs that they went to, Alcove Springs,
Nice.
and then the Blue Mountains.
Nice. So that was the 2 ways that what was important about the Blue Mountains and the Plains when in that journal entry?
It was right after they crossed the mountains, before the springs, or no, before the plains. And
Very
then-
good. So then if you got a map and had to figure out where Alcove Springs, would that be important information?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Could you maybe think of, what learning target would that kind of address?
That would be. Well, it kind of go under both.
Both?
Like,
Both of the first 2.
This one and this one?
yeah,
Why do you think that?
because you're describing which one they reached, which landmark they reached today,
Good.
and then you're also describing what the landmark looked like.
Good. Now let's think about this last one. This one's kind of lonely over here. Did anybody do anything special to help fill this one up? Amber?
I wrote about the springs that they went to, and they used it to feed their ox, and then they also used it to take baths in.
Yeah, and why is bath so important?
Because if they didn't, then they would get sick.
Exactly. That you guys did a lot of thinking, huh? Now today, let's try to maybe do something a little bit different while we do our journal entry. Maybe if we did a web last time, maybe try a list or drawing a picture, maybe even drawing a map. There's lots of different ways we can do this, huh, you guys? So today we're going to actually read this first one and then take a minute and write our journal. And then if we have time, we might do another one as well because Beverly's next 2 are really good. And I think it's a good idea to do them today.
Do you want us to date it?
I always date stuff.
Okay.
How would you, because it's important because Beverly also dates hers.
She dated hers, yeah.
So, and every time that you write something, you probably should date it just so that in the future, if you look back and you want to figure out when I wrote this or how long I've known this information for, that's a great way to use it for. Okay, so yesterday, I think, who read that? I think it was Connor, right?
Aww.
So I think, let's see, maybe Amber, do you want to read this for me today?
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay. So June 15th. We finally made it into Nebraska. We all knew that this right away when we saw off in a distance 2 very large rocks sticking out of the land. We all laughed when we finally saw it. Everyone said it would look like the jail and courthouse from back in Missouri. We knew that once we got to these rocks, we were making good time. The weather was still hot. We knew how much food we needed to save until the next major resting point from getting to these rocks. Plus, they gave us some hope. It was a little reminder of home. Beverly.
Oh, I really like this journal entry. You know why? She kind of shows how much she's kind of missing home. And I know that if I was on that long journey, I'd really miss what my home used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we start doing our journal entry? Think hard inside your head for a second before you start writing. And then you can begin Good, Amber. I see that you're making a picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw the 2 rocks that they saw.
And what can this help you in the future? What information is that recording?
The 2 land features that they knew where they were going to be going.
Good. That's very good.
What were they called again? The courthouse and the
The
jail.
jail and courthouse rocks.
I'm gonna label them too.
Labeling is very important because in a couple of weeks when you look back, do you think you could remember what those each were if you didn't label those?
No, probably not.
Probably not. Good job. Now, what are you doing, Connor?
I'm labeling them.
Labeling them. Good. And I see that you're starting to make a list of what was important about it. What other things do you think you could make a list about? Keep all 3 targets in mind too.
Can we look at her journal again?
Oh yeah. Why don't we pass it around so the pictures can be seen?
Okay.
See, that's the picture of the 2.
Yep.
Perfect. Now, Amber, I see that you did a very good job. Oh, and you are starting to make a list.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm going to give you guys just a few more seconds. And then maybe we're going to have a little bit of showing because this is only our 2nd entry that we have done. So I bet sharing with our friends might give us some inspiration on our next journal entry that we do. Okay, so let's have us all come together again. Good job, pencils down and eyes on me. Perfect, okay, so why don't we all look at our journal entry that we did and then think to ourselves really hard. Did you describe what landmark the Dunn family reached on this day? Did you describe and define 2 physical features, something that when she looks out and saw? And did you describe 2 ways that this helped them? How was this important and helpful for that family? Let's start down here because I feel like we keep forgetting this one a little bit, so let's start down here on this target. Connor, I see that you made a really good list. That's pretty long. Did you seem to meet this one?
Yes. They knew they were on track to get their next destination, and they had enough food to get there.
Awesome. And why is that important? Why would we need to know that?
Because it's a really, really long journey, and if they don't have enough food to get all the way to their next checkpoint, then they're not in good shape.
Yeah, and if we don't eat enough food, is that really tough on our bodies?
They'll be malnourished.
Malnourished, that is a very big word that we learned in health earlier. I love how you used that. That was a very good job. Now, let's see. I can describe what the landmark looked by identifying 2 defining physical features. Who can tell me about meeting this target in their journal entry today? Amber.
They saw 2 rocks out in the distance, and
Were they just rocks or what were they? Like,
they were mountains.
yeah, they're huge, huh?
rocks.
They're not these little dudes.
Well, and then the one was like kind of flat on the top, and then the other one was really tall, like taller than the other one too.
That's very good describing. That's exactly what I was trying to get you to do. Because that's describing that in detail, and detail is really important. You drew it very nicely. Do you want to show that to the class? Do you see how nicely she drew and she labeled it?
I did.
Why did we talked about that? Why is it important to label?
Because at the end we're going to make a map.
We're going to make a map, and that's so important, huh? Okay, so let's wrap up today, and by making sure, did we write our date on the top?
Yep.
And make all of our information nice and clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, let's pack up all of our stuff and get ready for the next subject. You guys did a very good job.
Yeah, we're done.